Hi, friends.
Hi, friends.
We're back. It's episode 112 of the Brunch and Judge.
We're still here. We're still doing it.
I know. Every time I'm like, damn, look at that.
Like, I know. Like, look at us being committed.
You know, I used to think that I was incapable of commitment, but here I am proving that I can if I really want to.
We really try and put our minds to it.
If I just make myself do it. Okay.
We get A's for effort.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, we are your hosts. I'm April.
And I'm Claire.
And this week we are talking villains.
Yes.
I love a good villain story. I feel like in a past life I was a villain. Maybe not like pure evil villain, but like, and definitely not the villain I'm talking about. I was not that villain.
No, you're like, no.
But like, I don't know. I feel like maybe there's some villainity in my past. Anyway, this week Claire goes first.
I do.
Yay! So Claire, what villain have you brought us this week?
I'm going to be talking about the inspiration behind Lady Gaga's character on American Horror Story.
Wow.
The Countess on the hotel.
Trigger warnings abound.
Yes, lots of trigger warnings.
I liked that season. I haven't watched it in the last 2 or 3 years, I guess, but I liked the hotel season. It was good.
Yeah, the only time I've ever watched it was with you when we were watching our way through. Yes, and I can't remember how far we got. We got through. Carnival one. That one. That one was weird because of the don't like clowns. No.
The season 1 was the best, hands down. Just was. It's my shtick. I love the house thing. I need the house to be haunted. But I also enjoyed Coven. I watched Coven.
Yes. Yeah, Coven was good too. Yeah. But anyway. So American Horror Story Hotel. That character was called the Countess, and her name was Elizabeth Johnson, and she was the owner of the Hotel Cortez in that season. And she was kind of a vampire, but not like in the vampire sense, because there were no fangs, but she did like slice people open and drink their blood and like roll around in it. I think she had like some kind of blood virus. I don't know what it was. It was like, they tried to say it was like hemophilia, but I'm like, that's not the way hemophilia works, but whatever. Anyway, but she would like feast on the blood of others and she'd bathe in it. And she is actually based on a real life person.
Yeah.
His name was Elizabeth Bathory, and I don't know if I'm saying that right. So
I'm sure it's correct. It's absolutely 100% correct.
Yeah. There's a lot of foreign names in this, and I don't know how to pronounce them. Even though I looked them up and I was like, say what now? Like, I listened to them like 3 or 4 times, and I'm just like, I can't with this. I feel like I made the effort and I still can't. So that just tells you how bad it is.
It's like these are hard. So
yeah. Talk about words are hard, very much so. So Elizabeth Bathory was born August 7th, and this is taking it way back. 1560. Ooh, way long time ago.
Mine is also in the 16th century.
What? Are you kidding me? Oh
no,
my god. Guys, listen, we haven't like talked to each other because April's been gone.
I've been gone.
She's been like Mississippi somewhere. Like,
yes, I've been in the South. In
the deep south, which is basically like another country.
I mean, we don't even have cell phones there. No, I'm kidding.
I'm kidding. We've barely texted. Oh my god, this is funny. Anyway, 1560. She was a Hungarian. This is where the hard pronunciations come in. She was a Hungarian noblewoman. Her father was a baron. Her mother was a baroness. There was some inbreeding going on there with her parentage.
Spoiler, there's inbreeding in mine too. I love this. This is great.
Oh my god.
We're totally on the same page. This is the greatest.
Yes.
I love when we do this.
So there was some inbreeding going on there. she was born into a very privileged family, raised with a lot of wealth and education. So there's really like no excuse for what went on here. No excuse here. As a child, it said that she suffered from seizures, possibly from epilepsy. Okay. And now this may be some, not really an excuse, but like I don't know what you would call it. Like I guess a reason maybe for what happened later. But anyway,
possible cause.
Maybe.
Contributing but even then, factor.
Contributing factor, but also I feel like this is very minor to what like happened later. But that this is like makes me like so glad I live now and not back then for their treatments. That and it was called a falling illness. Seizures, like epilepsy, was considered a falling illness, and I was like, okay, whatever. I guess because you would like have a seizure and fall over.
Fall, okay.
Yeah. But that was treated by rubbing the blood of a non-sufferer on the lips of the person who suffered from said illness.
I love and I'm just like, old medicine. You're like, the fuck were you thinking? But okay. I know.
We're like, what's happening here? Like, why?
Oh, you keep falling down? If we put the blood of someone who doesn't fall down, like on your lips, it's got to be your lips. Don't know why, but yes, then it's going to cure you.
Or possibly you could drink it. I mean, it was just, and then said something about possibly having a piece of somebody's skull. And I was like, what? I didn't even like look into that. I was like, I'm not even touching that with a 10-foot pole. I was like, what?
I do enjoy the logic of, hey, something is broken in my body. So let me take a piece of someone else's body that wasn't broken in this way, that's in the area of brokenness, and assume if I consume it, it'll fix it. Like, I know. My God.
Like, it's like, what is this? Yeah. Yeah. So she did suffer from that as a child. Doesn't really mention it as an adult, so I guess she grew out of it. Or maybe the blood fixed it. I don't know. Anyway.
She was cured.
I know, yeah. The blood of the non-sufferers fixed her, I guess. I don't know. Did have a little bit of a scandal. When she was 13, she became pregnant. Yeah. By a peasant boy.
Oh.
Scandal.
That is scandal.
I know. It was like, oh, yep. They gave the baby to a local woman and basically like paid her to take the child away. Like, here, have this baby.
Free kid for you.
Yes, take it away to like another area. Wow. Nobody has to see it. They trusted this woman. It wasn't like this was just some rando. It was like somebody the family knew, but it's like, we trust you, but take this baby away so nobody has to see it. Scandal. We don't want, in 1575, when she was 15, she was married to Count Ferenc Nadesdy. This is where Nadesdy. This is where I was getting hard with the names here. It was a political arrangement. The marriage resulted in a combined land ownership in Transylvania and in the Kingdom of Hungary. So it was like, oh, we get land.
Yes,
in both places. Yeah. Ferenc's gift to Elizabeth was castle. I looked this pronunciation up, and I still the spelling is CSEJTE, and it was like something that I don't even know. Anyway, he gave her a castle.
Okay.
That was his present to her, but the castle was purchased by his mommy.
His mommy bought a castle. Oh.
His mommy bought the castle, and then he gave it to his new wife, who was 15 years old.
I can think of worse gifts. I want a castle.
Right.
I mean, I don't want to have to just like marry some random dude, but like,
right.
I mean, the castle makes it a little bit better, I guess.
Yes. But they actually lived in another castle in Savar. So they didn't actually live in that castle that had like apparently like a bunch of villages around it, which they also owned. So, but they lived in another castle in another place.
Multiple castles. So, I mean, all right.
Right.
I dig it.
In 1578, Ferenc was chief commander of the Hungarian army, and he left on military campaign, leaving Elizabeth alone and in charge of home at the castle. And even though they spent a lot of their marriage apart, because he was gone, because he was in charge of a bunch of military stuff. I mean, he did come home. They did wind up having children, 5 children eventually. 10 years into their marriage, they had their first kid. Because I mean, they did get married when she was 15. So.
I mean, well, and I feel like based on a single book that I read once,
right,
that was a work of fiction. I should caveat that. Right. Apparently, it wasn't abnormal if people got married, like sight unseen. If they were decent people, would kind of wait for the girl to get used to the new living sitch before they were like, okay, let's make those children.
Right. So they did have 5 kids. 2 of them died in infancy, but 3 of them did live on, 2 girls and a boy. So they did wind up having 3 children who lived. But even though they spent a lot of their marriage apart, I guess in the times he was home and they did get to spend together, that it's speculated that he taught her like a bunch of like military torture.
Hey, honey, you want to learn how to torture someone today?
Yeah. So it's speculated that it's where she learned a lot of this stuff from him. So, towards the end of his life is when this kind of started. But as he was gone more, she would like look to hire young girls from said village to come and help out in the castle. Hire local girls to come work. And eventually, these like more like lesser noble women, but still like they were higher, they weren't servants, but they were like higher ranking people, would come to be trained by her because she was like a countess, you know.
Right.
She was higher up. So they would come to get like their whatever training, you know, by her. So, but then it's like around like 1602, girls begin to go missing. Rumors in the villages start circulating about Elizabeth. She starts getting this name, the Blood Countess. These rumors of like assault and torture and murder start spreading around. And here's some of the things, and this is where trigger warnings abound. Here are some of the things that they said that she would do to these girls who would just come to work for her, and these girls who were just coming to learn, to be proper nobility, or unfortunate souls that they are. Some of them, she would cover them in honey and just leave them outside. Like,
but the bugs,
yeah, like naked, covered in honey. Here, go roll around and let the ants eat you, you know, kind of thing.
Wow. Okay.
Drive needles under their fingernails.
No.
I know, that one's like, oh, no. Like, ouch. Awful. Force them into ice baths during already frigid temps, like outside. And some of them would like actually like freeze to death.
Yeah.
Like suffer, you know, hypothermia. Sew their lips shut. I know. Like that is a thing that when I see it in movies, that's like a yeah. When I see it in movies, it bothers me, and even though I know it's not like, I don't like it. Do not like it at all. Burn them with hot irons. Bite chunks of their breasts and faces off. Yeah.
But why?
Because she's mean. I don't know.
It's a little beyond mean, but okay.
I know.
Okay.
Use scissors to mutilate her victims. She would slit the skin between the fingers on their hands with the scissors. Cut their genitals and cut like chunks of their noses off. Yeah. I mean, when they say torture, I mean legit.
They were not kidding.
Right. Now, they're like, if you hear about her and you see artwork of her, there are depictions of Elizabeth Bathory often shown like bathing in the blood of virgins so she could like maintain her youth, which is like kind of where the Lady Gaga thing with Hotel came in. But that was just some kind of like sensationalized something that came along later, because bloodbaths weren't really mentioned to like 100 years after her death. Like that was something like a, you know,
right,
something that came along after the fact, and you know, myths,
a bit of an embellishment to that.
Myths
hand
and
in
legends.
hand along with her crazy, but like,
right, you know how myths and legends get started and all that comes along. So it was one of those things. So, but there's no actual proof. She was like draining people of their blood and bathing in it. Like that was a real thing. Right. But there's artwork out there that shows that. So
it's the spirit of who she was. It's symbolically bathing in the blood of virgins.
Right. Her husband died in 1604, unknown illness, and apparently this kind of stuff picked up, especially after he died.
Well, I mean,
because
she was
he wasn't
bored and lonely, I guess.
Yeah, he wasn't there, and she was left to run the estate, and it was like, oh, I can't do this alone. I need more girls, and girls are gone and dying and whatever, you know. So, but she shot herself in the foot because she started doing this to the higher up people, the more noble, higher class women. And that's what got her in trouble. So because she was allegedly assaulting more noble women, because, you know, servants don't matter.
Right.
Nobody cares about them. So in 1910, a man, and I have no idea how to say this guy's name, he's a count. Look, his name looks like Jair G. It's almost like Gregory.
Well, let's just call him Gregory. We'll call him Gregory.
It looks like Gyro with a Y on the end or something. Anyway, last name's Thurzo. Count Thurzo started investigating her because of all these alleged assault accusations. And when he arrived at her castle, he reportedly caught her in the act. Like he got there and like walked in on it, her torturing one of her victims. So he immediately imprisoned her in her home. So she was just on house arrest. She didn't have to like go to jail.
I mean,
like a common person.
Nobility, so
I know she was a countess. So I mean, whatever. But 4 of her servants, 3 female and 1 male, they were arrested, questioned, and tortured themselves.
Of course.
Yeah, they denied any culpability, but they did admit to burying bodies. And they're what they said, the numbers of bodies they buried were varied anywhere from like 36 to 51. 3 were executed almost immediately after that. 1 is unknown. They like didn't execute them.
They were like, they didn't have a choice. I mean, they were her servants. Why are we executing them?
Yeah, and 1 they don't know, like was like spared from immediate execution, but then it was like, we don't know what happened to that person.
Right.
And then there was a person who was like known for doing magic, and I say that in quotes. Who was like in with her, who was also executed. So like a witchy type person was also executed for helping her with this. Death toll is unknown. Possibly up to 650.
Good God.
And that's just like according to like her records. Her diaries, her journals, whatever. I mean, you don't know. So that's why she's considered to be possibly one of the most prolific serial killers ever. So there was no trial for her because she wasn't a commoner. So basically they just locked her up in her house, like, you've just spent the rest of your days here. So she was basically isolated. in her castle until her death in 1614. I think she's died of some kind of illness. They don't really know. Not convicted of anything. So her stuff was passed to family instead of being seized.
Right.
So that is her story.
Ew.
That's Elizabeth Bathory and I know, right? But she is the inspiration for the Countess on American Horror Story Hotel. And I'm just like, that's a lot of grossness.
Yeah.
I can't even with that. And it's just like, that's why I said she was like raised right. And you're just like, but then also you got the inbreeding, but still it's just like, goes to show all the money in the world can't buy you, really buy you class.
You can still be a sociopath, maybe more likely, honestly.
Right.
Wow. Like I've heard of her and her bloodbaths that apparently didn't happen, but also,
but then there's also people who are like, oh well, I don't like, they don't really think that she did it, and I'm just like,
bitch, yes,
but there were over 200 like people who were like, I witnessed blah 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 blah, and I'm like,
that are like, this is what's left of my nose she cut off, like, I mean,
right, yeah. Oh yeah, my sources.
Sources.
My sources. Screen Rant, Wikipedia, all that's interesting, and history.
Ooh, very nice.
So yeah,
very nice. Well,
anyway, that's the story of Elizabeth Bathory and her terrible reign in Hungary.
Yeah, that was terrible. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So, what terrible story have you brought us, since it's villains and we know that there's nothing good that can come from this?
There is not anything good that can come from this. So, I am going to be talking about the Bean Clan.
Bean Clan.
Bean like a jelly bean or a lima bean, or I don't know, pinto bean.
Like B-E-A-N.
B-E-A-N. The Bean Clan, which was the inspiration for the movie The Hills Have Eyes.
Ew. No. Oh, God.
So I got my information from Wikipedia, something called Newgate Calendar, which was an old newspaper that doesn't exist anymore. IMDb, and historicuk.com. So, if you don't know the movie The Hills Have Eyes, good for you. It is a 2006 horror film from the disturbing mind of Wes Craven, I believe. So,
was it Wes Craven?
Well, he didn't direct it, but he was one of the producers or whatever. So he gets attributed. I assume he had words to give them.
Gotcha.
But in the little short synopsis of The Hills Have Eyes, Bob Carter and his wife Ethel, along with 5 other members of the family, are headed for San Diego with their camper vans. An accident strands them in the desert, and while 2 of the men go for help, the others are forced to wait. They're unaware that they've ended up stuck near the site where decades earlier, nuclear tests gave rise to a group of mutant monsters who have developed a taste for human flesh. Yummy. So, the inspiration for these mutant monsters that like to eat human flesh, yummy, yummy, comes from, we're going to start with Alexander Bean, who was born in East Lothian, Scotland in the 16th century.
Wow.
His father was, a very normal person of his time. His father was a ditch digger, hedge trimmer. He was a physical laborer. It is the 1500s, so, Alexander tried to follow in his dad's footsteps, but he wasn't really fit for the work. I think when they say that, what they mean is lazy.
Okay.
As opposed to like physically incapable.
Like he wasn't. I was gonna say like he had like a physical ailment or something. Like
he was just like, I don't want to do this. This is hard. Which, fair. I don't want to dig ditches either, so, like, fair.
I mean, yeah.
But, like...
Who really does? I mean...
So, he eventually left home because his family was like, you gotta do something. Gotta do something.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, he ended up leaving with a woman who was known at the time as Black Agnes.
Was it Black Anna?
I had that thought. Her name was Agnes Douglas, but she was somewhat accused without, like, super legitimately accused of being a witch at one time. So, like, she kind of got the nickname Black Agnes. So, you know,
gotcha.
You do that what you will. They together took to a nice life of crime. Because robbing people is so much easier than having to do regular work and working hard. Just take stuff from other people.
That's right.
And so he and the family that they later created, which I'll talk about in a little bit, survived primarily by ambushing and robbing and often murdering individuals in small groups, primarily travelers.
Gotcha.
And they very quickly realized that dead people can't, like, rat you out to be like, you know, we got attacked or robbed or whatever. So they very quickly decided to just, like, murder everyone that they attacked. So lots of people died. And they knew, though, that on a murdering spree such as this, they needed a place to kind of hide out to stay out of the eye of the villagers that were nearby. And so they discovered a coastal cave in Benane Head. I did not look up the Scottish pronunciation for that. But what was cool about this cave is that it was 200 yards deep, and during high tide, the entrance would be completely blocked. Okay. So with the choice of living in this cave and choosing a cave that was blocked at high tide, they remain undiscovered for over 25 years.
What?
Yeah. So Benane Cave was really quite impressive. It had tunnels throughout the solid rock and the cave itself would extend more than a mile. And it had lots of side passages, so it was really easy for them to kind of convert into, you know, little sections for family members because they, of course, had a family and their family continued to grow. And so they had to make space for children and etc. Together, they had 6 daughters and 8 sons.
Good Lord.
Yeah. So that's a lot. They had 14 granddaughters and 18 grandsons.
Holy cow.
Which were the product of incest between their sons and daughters.
Ew, no. Oh, gross. No.
Oh, yeah.
Stop.
Yeah. It was a very insular family clan of murderers.
Oh, I hate it.
I know. I was like, okay, well, that's great. We love when that happens.
Ew. Oh, gosh.
I would like to say those numbers for you again. 14 granddaughters and 18 grandsons. It's a lot of incest happening. That's all I'm saying. I think it's a lot. Like a lot.
Ew.
So, anyway, the people that they robbed and stole from, as mentioned previously, since they were mostly murdered, which they pretty much always were, they decided that hiding the bodies would be a good idea. Because if the bodies aren't discoverable, your crime stays hidden. People don't know that it's happened.
Yeah. So
they often would bring the bodies back to the cave.
I see where this is going.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, the inspiration for let's have fun. So obviously they're wanting to hide out, keep a low profile. So they tried their best to avoid any unnecessary visits to villages and towns, to the shops, to, buy provisions and things like that. So they decided, oh, you know what? Let's just butcher these bodies we keep bringing back to the cave because it's a nice high protein diet for everyone.
Bleh. Is it though? Is it?
I mean, I argue no, but to each their own, obviously.
I mean,
yeah.
Oh, so not only does your story have inbreeding, it also has
cannibalism. Yay! But it happened in the 1500s, so it's okay now. Maybe. But so they would bring the bodies of their victims back to the cave where they would be dismembered and cleaned and eaten. Often they would take the quote unquote leftovers.
Ew.
And pickle them in barrels.
No.
Yummy.
No. 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 I'm not here for this.
Yeah,
no. No.
Now, of course, it is a cave. There is water that is coming in. There is stuff that gets tossed. Sometimes the water would pick up leftover bits. And so it would get pulled out of the cave and sometimes would wash up on nearby beaches.
Right.
But because it was like random bits and pieces and maybe had teeth marks on them, I don't know. The locals believed that they were the result of like an animal attack. So
okay,
that helped them again stay concealed for over 25 years. I just want to remind you, 25 years of this. So they would mostly stay in the cave during the day because they, don't want people to see them. And they would hunt their victims at night. And again, that helped delay the discovery of them because people who encountered them usually didn't live to see another day to tell anyone about it. So there's that.
Yeah.
But that also meant that they weren't far from villages. So these people were living in an area where murders were happening like all the fucking time.
I was going to say though, aren't these people wondering where their loved ones are? People are going missing and they're like, where did so-and-so go?
Mm-hmm.
They just left and didn't come back,
So eventually the villagers did notice the increasing amount of disappearances.
That's what I'm saying, yes.
And they searched for the culprits, realizing that animals couldn't possibly be responsible for this increasingly terrifying number of disappearances. One of the searchers even took notice of the cave's existence, but decided there's no way anyone could live in that cave because of whatever, and so didn't go check it out. But
probably a good thing he didn't go check it out because then he probably would have died. Yeah.
So, of course, several people got accused of the crimes, especially local innkeepers, because they were the last ones to see the travelers. They would stay at an inn and then they'd leave. And it was like, well, they were here last. So, because that seems like a common thing.
Right.
And so they, several innocent people were hung for these disappearances, but were not the culprits. As they noticed that the disappearances kept continuing, so they kept getting it wrong.
Right.
It's like traitors, except real.
Right. Except people are actually dying.
Yes, except for real, yeah. So, one night, the Bean Clan ambushes a married couple that's riding on one horse. They had been at a fair and were on their way back. And the man was able to kind of hold them off for a bit because he had been trained in combat and had both a sword and a pistol with him. Ooh. But his wife fell off of the horse to the ground, and she got captured and killed pretty quickly. But as the man was still trying to fight them off, a larger group of people who had been at the fair appeared, and that there were too many of them, and so the Bean Clan was like, oh shit, and so they fled. So the man survived, and so he was able to tell the local magistrate what had happened, the number of people who had been there, what they look like, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And so everyone was like, shit, there's like, we finally have like a witness. We actually kind of know. When King James VI of Scotland learned of the clan of attackers, he led a posse of over 400 men and bloodhounds that to try and suss out the Bean clan.
Wow.
And the bloodhounds were able to pick up their trail and led this posse to the cave. So when they get there, they discover body parts are just like hanging from the walls. There's barrels filled with limbs that are being pickled.
No.
There are like piles of bones in some areas, as well as like piles of the stuff that they stole, heirlooms, jewelry, whatever that they happen to have. Like just...
Right.
So what happened next? There's 2 accounts. Don't know which one's real. So in the first account, the Bean clan, once they were discovered by this large posse, you know, gave up without a fight. They knew they were completely outnumbered. They were cornered. I mean, they were in a cave, for God's sake. They couldn't really go anywhere. Should have dug that back entrance out, I'm telling you.
Seriously.
And so they were taken in chains to Tolbooth Jail in Edinburgh, and they were later executed. They were not tried. There was no trial. They were judged to be subhuman, unfit for trial. Like, they weren't human anymore because of the cannibalism. And so they were executed. And the men were executed by having their genitalia cut off.
Whoa!
Thrown into a fire.
Wait, the genitalia was
thrown into the fire.
Okay.
And then their hands and feet were severed, and they were left to bleed to death. That's how they were executed.
Wow.
Now, Alexander, being the head of this disgusting clan, apparently before he died was yelling, "It isn't over, it will never be over." But like it
is.
It is. The women and children were forced to watch the men die, and they were then tied to stakes and burned alive.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
So that's one option of what happened.
Uh-huh.
The other option is that when the clan was discovered in the cave, the posse was like, fuck these people. Because like they see all the horrid stuff in there.
Uh-huh.
And so they were forced to stay in the cave, and then gunpowder was used to collapse the entrance so that they would either suffocate or starve in the cave.
Oh.
There's only so much human flesh, I guess. I don't know.
Right.
There are some sources that claim that one of the daughters of the clan had actually left. She was like, I don't want any part of this. This is crazy. And she had settled in another town called Girvan. And while she was there, she had planted a tree, just, you know, happened to have planted a tree that became known as the Hairy Tree. And then when all of this came out and they discovered like who she was and how she was related to them, she ended up being hung from that tree by the locals because she was related to the clan. Even though she didn't do... I mean, she had to do some of it. She had to be old enough to leave. And so that is the terrifying, horrific, cannibalistic story of the Bean Clan, the inspiration for The Hills Have Eyes.
That is terrible.
Isn't it terrible? Like,
it is awful.
What the fuck?
That is like as bad as mine.
Yeah.
Like I was like, this is really bad. And I'm like, yours is just as bad.
Mine is just as bad. Same time period. Got some good incest going. Lots of horrors. There was torture in yours, and there's cannibalism in mine. So, like, I feel like we really hit the villainhood on the head for this episode.
We really did.
Like, when I say villain, what comes to your mind?
I know. It was like, We understood the assignment.
We
apparently.
sure did. We were like, I'll see your villain, and I'm going to give you like super villain status.
Super villain status. Like,
I know you guys are sad. I almost was like, this is my chance to do like Trump and how he's a villain, but like, I don't. This year's gonna suck ass, so like, I don't want it. I don't want to talk about him.
You're like, we're gonna have to like deal with it later, probably. Like come November, it's gonna be terrible.
But yes, so that is the horrible story of the Bean Clan.
Well,
and their incestuous, murderous, cannibalistic ways.
Yes, that was terrible. Thank you.
Which reminds me, this is a terrible, inappropriate joke. Okay? This is not work appropriate. I'm telling everyone right now, do not judge me. This is not my joke. This is a joke that Spencer's aunties told me.
Uh-oh.
Who are Mississippi born and bred. Like, they were born there. They've lived elsewhere. They've come back. Like, that's family home. So it's okay. But so while we were there, apparently it's turtle mating season. Because every time we would go outside, like to walk or whatever, there would just be turtles copulating in yards. Just like obviously having turtles. It was the most bizarre, like. And so at one point, it rained one day and they had the two turtles happened to be copulating in the in his aunt's yard. And so I took a picture of it. I should have sent it to you. I took a picture of it and I sent it to my family. And I was trying to come up with like some kind of a funny thing to tag with it. And I ended up going with, you know, even the turtles take it slow in the South kind of a thing.
Oh, God.
Which led to a whole whatever. But so we had been asking his aunts for like what kind of funny, weird things that I could go with that picture to be kind of whatever. And one of them goes, well, you know, the only virgins in Mississippi. And I'm like, okay. And like, are the ones that can outrun their brothers.
Oh.
And I was like, what? I was like, so that's such a, I love it. It's such a Kentucky kind of joke. Like, that's the same.
It really is.
And I'm like, you're from here, so it's okay that you said it. But also oh, that goes really well with my story.
It does. That's funny. You're like, they're from here, so they can get away with it.
It's fine. They can say it. It's fine. I am just sharing it in a way that lets you know I didn't come up with it, but I sure did laugh.
Right. That's like, because my mom's family is they're all from Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the first jokes, like, when as a kid, I learned this as a child, and Brandon has never heard this, and it just blew my mind that he had never heard this joke, but maybe it was just, but it was like, what do you call a Tennessee prostitute? A volunteer. I know, right? And he was like, I've never heard that. And I'm like, are you shitting me? Like, and it was one of the, like, I remember like learning that joke as like a 10-year-old.
That's hilarious.
But it's just like, it's like, just, it's like, it's that kind of, I guess it's that same kind of thing where it's like, they're from Tennessee. So
it's Southern humor.
So they could say that, it's just like.
Because, we're all dumb, incestuous, pregnant things in the South. Right. It's fine. I mean, it's that. All the states have that reputation.
We all have that stigma. And yeah. Indeed. Like, I just remember learning that joke as like a 10-year-old or something. It was just like,
I like that. I'm gonna put that in my pocket for the next time I see the aunties and be like, I've got a joke for you.
Right. Indeed.
All right. Well, that was fun. So, Claire,
if you call inbreeding and cannibalism fun
it was
torture,
so long ago that like it feels less bad. Let's go with that.
Right. It's like there's been some time in between. It's fine.
Yep. I mean, like I'm not gonna go hold a seance over there or anything. I'm not crazy. But
right.
It's fine. It's fine now.
Right.
But Claire,
Yes.
What are you judging this week?
I don't know. There's been so many things.
Okay.
I feel like there's been so many things. I don't know. What are you judging? You go first.
Oh, okay.
You go first.
So this week I am judging American Airlines.
American Airlines.
American Airlines. I hate you.
What did they do?
I hate you.
Okay. I'm like, all right, okay.
So like, I get it. I try really hard to be a very understanding person as a general rule when it comes to people in any kind of customer service industry. Like I try. So like our flight down was fine. Our flight back, our flight out of Mississippi was delayed for like, at first it was delayed for like 20 minutes and then it got delayed for nearly an hour, which caused us to miss our connection. Now, the reason it was delayed was there had been a mechanical something at a previous stop that they had fixed that delayed them there. Chain reaction. So okay,
I wondered if it was like weather related because I know people were getting slammed with like storms or whatever. So
like we get to Charlotte and like we get off the plane when our next flight is literally taking off from. And I was just like, oh my God. So we go to a customer service line and it is obscenely long. And I'm like,
because you all are probably not the only ones who miss.
Well, we were the only ones I think that missed that particular flight, but not many people come to Hartford. What can I say?
Right. Yeah.
But you know, there had been some other issue somewhere. And so as we're standing in line, I'm like, I'm just going to call the customer service number because they do you're able to like save your place in line. They call back the number you called from.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So like we stand in that line. I've already made the call. So they call me back and I'm talking to an American Airlines customer service agent on the phone. And so she's telling me, you know, we can get a flight that actually is going to Philadelphia and then pick up a connection from Philadelphia across to Hartford because that particular flight had been delayed as well. Like she couldn't book us on it because it was supposed to have already been gone.
Mm-hmm.
But she was like, you can just go to she told us to go to the gate. And like you know, they'd be able to, she's like, there's plenty of seats, just go to the gate. And so we go, and I am nice and friendly, and they're like, I can't do that. And I'm like, but like the person on the phone told me to come here. And they're like, well, I don't know why I can't. And like, he was just like, I've got to get these people on a plane. And I'm going, no one's fucking boarding this plane right now, you piece of shit. Because everybody's still waiting for the announcement. So I'm like, he was so rude instead of like fake apology, being like, I am so sorry. Like to me, what frustrates me is like, there's a way to talk to people.
Right.
To be like, I am so sorry that they told you that. Unfortunately, I can't do that here, you know.
Yeah, like
but he instead was like,
saying,
I can't do that. And I'm like, fuck you. And I was like, I literally, because at this point, like I'm tired and I'm frustrated because we'd been in a line that we are now out of because we were told to come here, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I did my very pathetic little as we walk away. This is why I fly Delta.
Oh my gosh.
But it made me so fucking mad because like it doesn't cost you to be nice to someone that's obviously having a bad day, like that's in a bad, because like we had been rebooked onto a flight on Sunday morning. And so we'd have had to stay in Charlotte. And we were just so desperate to get home. We were like, no, I don't want to stay in Charlotte. I don't want to get up in the morning and do TSA again. I just want to get home. You know, and
right.
The fact that I approach everyone in that situation being nice and like trying to not be an asshole, and then I get that kind of response just makes me irrationally angry. But like we came across a few of these instances where people just like for American Airlines at this airport specifically were assholes that just were like, oh, I don't know, that's not my job. And I'm like, wow. I get that it's not your job and I get that maybe you don't have an answer, but you can answer that in a way that is not being a fucking douchebag. Because it wasn't just like I watched it happen to a couple of other people. in other situations. And I'm like, dude, like, it costs nothing to recognize that everyone that you're dealing with is traveling. They're stressed. They're tired.
Yeah.
They've had something happen that was not their fault. That was American Airlines' fault.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God. But we've finally made it to another customer service person. She was very nice, was very kind. She got us standby tickets for the next flight, said that, we absolutely would have a hotel. They would take care of whatever. And then it turned out, I don't know what's happening in American Airlines. I hate flying and I hate planes because, like, the plane we were on had a mechanical issue, so that's why it was late. The flight that we ended up getting on standby, I think, was because they had to change planes. So, like, they literally had to reissue everyone's ticket because they were making us like, we're sorry if, when you come in to do your whatever, it's going to print out a new ticket because they had to change planes. Like, what does that even mean? We had to change planes. Like, what was wrong with the other plane? Worked out. There's more seating, so like everybody on standby got on the flight.
Oh well, that's nice. That's
and like,
but still, you're just like, wait a minute.
And we had extra leg room because we literally were the first row behind first class, which is hilarious.
Nice.
But then, like, as we take off, it's making this horrible noise, and like Spencer and I were like, and this is how we die. We die in this plane crash because it's going. It was like, and then like the lady behind us. My God, people suck. Okay, so I guess we forgot. We went to the South where everyone is unbearably nice. Like, greets you on the sidewalk. And is like super, like, they may all be Trump supporting idiots, but like they're nice. And like just the general like life of hello, good morning, like, the things.
Yeah. Yeah.
The fake South thing where it's like, I'm gonna pretend like I give a single shit about your life and I don't, but I'm gonna sound like I do, and that makes you feel better. So then when we come back and we're like immediately bombarded with all these assholes, and then the lady behind us was like hacking up a lung, was not covering her cough, was just like being like, I had an audiobook and I just kept turning up louder and louder, just closing my eyes, being like, I can't wait to be home. I can't wait to be home. I can't wait to be home. So fuck American Airlines. Except for that one nice lady at customer service. I liked her. Don't fuck
that got
her.
you the standby tickets.
Well, because she was like, this is what I can do. These are our options. We can try and make sure all of this stuff. She's like, and I will be here. So if this doesn't work out, come right back. And I'm like, okay. So.
Yes.
She's great. Everybody else can suck it.
Suck it.
But that's my judge. This is why I am a Delta Sky Miles member, and I fly Delta 90% of the time. If possible, I will pay more for a Delta flight because I just seem to have better luck with them as a general rule. So now that I've said that, I will have brought down all the hate, and the next time I fly Delta, it will be a nightmare. But
right,
it is what it is.
Interesting.
All right, Claire.
That's an excellent judge, though.
Thank you. Have you?
I know what I'm gonna judge.
Okay.
I'm like exhausted with UK fans.
Oh my God. Right? I don't live anywhere near there and I know everything at this point. Holy
I'm
fuck.
just like, that's all that was on my Facebook feed for like, like
weeks.
Yeah. I was just like, good grief. Like, get over yourselves. I just wanted to like stab somebody. I'm judging all of you. Every single one of you. Judging everybody.
You might want to give a play-by-play for the people who don't live in Lexington, have never lived in Lexington, and aren't inundated by UK basketball 24/7.
Yeah, for people who don't follow sports ball.
Specifically UK. Because it's
specifically UK sports ball.
UK sports ball.
Yeah, UK basketball. Oh. Because that's the only basketball that exists ever.
True. There are no other things.
None. Zero. So the last 5 years or so, UK has sucked. And well, here's the thing. Their coach, John Calipari, he's a great recruiter. I will give him that. He's an excellent recruiter. He recruits the top kids in the country every single fucking year. Have they won a championship? Like, they've won one. And the one that he won with like kids from like the previous coach, like shortly after the other coach left, Tubby Smith. Tubby was a great coach. Has he won since then?
Nope.
No, because he gets these kids who are one and done. They play 1 year and then they go to the NBA. And he has been very vocal about that's what he does, is he just wants to get kids and funnel them into the NBA.
Yep.
He doesn't care.
That's what he does.
And this is what he said.
That's what we knew. We knew coming in. That's what he was going to do.
And this is what he said publicly. Like, he's made no bones about it. Is that he, you know, and let me tell you, UK fans, no, having none of that bullshit. UK fans want to win games. They don't care. They don't care if these kids go to the NBA.
No.
UK fans want to win games. UK fans want to win championships. That's what they care about. I mean, not saying they don't care about the kids who are playing. I'm not saying that.
I'm saying that they don't care.
Well, but as far as like, but they don't give a shit if those kids wind up going to play NBA afterwards.
Right.
You know, so especially the last 5 years, UK has not gotten past like the first round of the NCAA tournament.
It's been really pathetic.
They've lost like the first game or the second game in the SEC tournament. And so, I mean, UK fans are just like livid. And so, especially after this year, they were like calling for his head. Like, off with his head. I mean, they were like pulling a Queen of Hearts.
Yeah.
Like, legit. Because they lost the first game of the tournament. It was an upset. They got beat by a team they should not have gotten beat by. Oakland. Who the fuck is Oakland? And also, they had a guy. I watched that. I watched the end of the game. I had to work that night, but I got home and I called mom and I turned on the game, and there was a guy on there who looked like he was older than me. I said, who is this man? I said, this is a grown ass man playing boys. I told my mom, and this guy was like in his 5th year, like getting his master's or some bullshit. He's like 26 playing against 18-year-olds. Like, that's why they're losing. You know, it's just like, hello, you know? Anyway, so yeah, they lost first game. This one, this grown ass man, fully grown man, hit like a bazillion threes in this game. You know, it was like lights out, whatever. They lost. It was just like, okay, shock, surprise. I was not shocked. So UK fans are having a shit fit. And then it comes out, the guy who does all the hiring and bullshit at UK, Mitch Barnhart, it's like, oh, because John Calipari is a lifetime contract.
Yep.
Which was fucking dumb. Anyway, they come out and they're like, oh no, he's coming back next year. He's coming back. Well, then all of a sudden, all this shit comes out where it's like, oh, he's being courted by Arkansas. Oh, well, then it's like, that's all that's on Facebook. Coach Calipari's being courted by Arkansas.
Is that the same people who were bitching about getting rid of him then were bitching that he was being courted by Arkansas?
Right.
You can't have it both ways, guys. Either you want him gone or you want to keep him.
And this is how it goes with UK fans. This is how it goes. So they're going to bitch because he's the worst coach ever. But then they're going to bitch because he's being courted by Arkansas, and they're going to call him two-faced and all the names under the sun. And then all of a sudden it's like, it's legit. He's going to Arkansas. Well, then we don't have a fucking coach. Okay.
Man, they just were like, I guess I do not understand how sports balls work, because like it happened in like 2 days. In a 2-day time, we went from everybody hates Calipari to he's accepted a new coaching gig in Arkansas to, hey, here's our new coach. And we have a whole stadium full of people. Like, the fuck is happening? Did I
then it's like
jump timelines
they start again? Well, and then it's like, we don't have a coach. And so then they start, rumors are abounding about who's going to be the coach.
And everybody has opinions on
and it's all over the face space with people and their opinions. And I'm just like, oh God, I can't with this. Because everybody's an armchair coach. Everybody. And it's just like, y'all suck. Like, none of y'all have ever played basketball in your lives. Ever.
Right?
I mean, none of you have ever coached. None of you have ever fucking played. And I'm over here like, I played and I grew up with a coach. So, it's like, none
Claire's
of y'all
saying she knows shit and everybody else
and I'm over here like,
and
I'm like, none of y'all got your feelings hurt by your dad driving home when you were a kid. So,
and it shows.
Yeah.
And it shows.
Yeah. Not only that, like, none of you all had a dad who was a coach who was never on your side. My dad was never going to be like, oh, my kid's the best. And he never did that with either one of us. So, none of that nonsense. My dad was never into nepotism. Absolutely not. Nope. I've seen him like yank my brother's ass out of a ball game so fast when he thought my brother was like phoning it in. He's like, sit your ass on the bench. Anyway, but it's just, it went from like one guy, it's like we're offering the job to this one guy who was, I don't even remember. His name was Drew Scott or Scott Drew or something. I don't even
something
fucking
like
know.
that, yeah.
Yeah. And then it was like, no, we're not offering it to him. And then it was like, oh, but he's in Lexington. And it's like, he's not in Lexington. His wife's in Lexington. And it's like, what the fuck is going on? Like, this is what it's like. Facebook was just, I'm like over here like, oh my God, I'm just judging everybody on Facebook because you all suck. You all just fucking suck. This whole thing. And then it was like, then they're mentioning somebody else. And then everybody's like, why aren't they giving it to Billy Donovan? And it's like, Billy Donovan fucking coaches in the NBA. Does he even want it? And everybody's like, bring Rick Pitino back. And I'm like, no.
God.
No. And then, and everybody's like, bring Tubby back. And I'm like, would Tubby even want to fucking come back the way you all treated him?
Yeah. It's like,
he's probably like, fuck you guys.
Ain't nobody
you all suck.
Ever coming back because Kentucky fans are assholes.
Yeah. And so then they wind up giving it to this guy named Mark Pope. And like, everybody was losing their fucking minds, and not in a good way.
Yeah.
That they gave it to Mark Pope, who was he's a former player. He played under Rick Pitino back in the day, like in the 90s. Part of like a championship team, mind you. And Rick Pitino, when he coached for us, was not bad. It wasn't until he went to Louisville that he had all his scandal bullshit. But anyway, but it's like everybody's losing their minds and they're all pissed off. Everybody hates it. They're like, this is the worst decision ever. We fucking hate Kentucky basketball. Fire Mitch Barnhart. Yeah. Everybody hates him. But then everybody's like, because they do this whenever they hire a new coach. They always have like a big to-do at rep. And they're like, oh, come meet the new coach. We're going to have a big press conference, blah, blah, blah. And
they all go. Everybody goes.
Well, they didn't think anybody was going to show up. So they only blocked off like half of Rep Arena. And then it was like wrapped around the fucking building. And then they wound up having to open the entire space, which I don't know if you all know, but Rep Arena is fucking huge.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it seats a lot of people. I mean, a lot. So they wound up having to like bring out more chairs on the floor, and they opened up the whole thing. And then they were saying they were turning people away, but they weren't. They had people that were, even though people weren't in actual, like in the arena, they were like out on the concourse, and they had turned on the TV so people could still see it, even though that they weren't actually in there. It was like standing room only. And it was like, what is wrong with you? You all are just the biggest bunch of like hypocrites and fair weather friends I have ever seen. Like, one minute y'all are screaming, I hate you and I want to chop your head off, Mitch Barnhart. And the next minute you're like, we love the Pope. Bring on Mark Pope. And I'm just like, I thought you all like literally like, I can like 6 people on my Facebook were like, this is the worst decision ever. And now all of a sudden they're like, I'm so excited about Kentucky basketball. And it's like,
I can't. Yeah,
I'm confused.
It's nauseating.
I'm confused.
Like, it's just so much back and forth. I hate it. Yes, judge all of them. Judge them all.
Guys, and I just really, I really just don't see how anybody could coach for Kentucky. Like, I feel like Kentucky fans are the worst.
I mean,
Mom and Dad and I have had this conversation. Like, we've talked about it. It's like Kentucky fans are legit the worst. Like dad likes listening to those talk shows. I hate it. Hate listening to those talk shows where yahoos, like Joe Schmo, can call in and complain to the coach. I fucking hate those shows because they don't know what the hell they're talking about. But dad will listen to him while we're driving somewhere. And I just listen to my headphones because it's like my coping mechanism. I can't deal. But dad was listening one time, and like, I think it was when Tubby or somebody was coaching, and like the team was on a winning streak. Like it'd been a hot minute since they'd lost. Okay. Like they'd won like, I don't know, 3 or 4 games. Like they hadn't lost in a minute. Somebody called in and asked what he was going to do to fix the team. Like they had just fucking won. And somebody was like, what are you going to do to fix this team? I'm like, they've lost 2 games all fucking season.
Yeah.
What is wrong with you? Like, I don't get it. It's like you all don't even understand. You don't get it at all. Like you don't understand. Anybody who wants to coach for Kentucky is like a masochist.
Yeah. I feel like at this point, seeing how every coach gets run off, and maybe it is like that in other places and we just never really hear about it because we don't care, but
maybe, I don't know.
Or we're our friends the people that I'm friends with that talk about basketball are only in Kentucky, so I don't know.
Right.
So maybe it is like that other places, but it just seems particularly awful. But like, I can't imagine anybody being like, yeah, I'll go coach for that school, although they get paid really well, so maybe.
Right.
Maybe.
Like, I mean, the only other place I could imagine, like Coach K with like Duke or something. Maybe.
In fact, I cracked up. It's like I think it was like April Fool's joke or whatever. It was like Christian Laettner was going to be the new UK coach. Like, oh God, please let that happen. I just want to see everybody just lose their fucking mind. Just for
I was
shits
like,
and
that
giggles.
would be hilarious if that was true. I would be like, yes. I would be here for that. I would be here for that.
I would want to go to that Rupp Arena event to be like, okay, let's see what happens.
Right. Oh, you want to talk about people losing their minds. It would be that. I'd be like, absolutely not.
All right.
He's like so brilliant. But that was,
Fun.
I'm judging all you UK fans and your ridiculousness. That's what I'm judging.
Absolutely. And I think on that note, it must be time for...
It is.
Tarot time with April. Spooky. And obviously, Claire, there's only one question that we can ask the cards.
What?
Will UK win anything next year? And then you're going to specify what that means. Will they win like literally anything? Because no one's coming back. Everybody's like, maybe Reed Shepherd will come back because Daddy was on Mark Pope's team, right?
Yes, Daddy was on. Yeah, Jeff Shepherd was on. Jeff Shepherd and Mark Pope were teammates. That's what we're saying.
So,
but I did see something that one of Mark Pope's players from BYU is coming with him or something. I mean,
that makes sense. I support that. Wait, from where?
Isn't it BYU? Isn't he from Brigham Young?
He's a coach from Brigham Young? Lord. That's going to be weird AF. Okay.
Yeah, because that's what they're talking about. This kid is like Mormon AF.
And they're like, no. We drink and also caffeine and everything. No magic underwear is allowed to be worn under the UK football uniform.
Right.
Or basketball uniform.
Football uniform.
Sports ball. All right, cards.
Sports ball.
Oh, that's right here. We have the Ace of Swords inverted.
Uh-oh.
We have the Lovers inverted.
Oh, everything's... Did you just invert them all?
Nope. I did not. I actually checked it before I did this.
Oh, okay.
And then we have the Knight of Swords upright.
Okay. It's a very pointy...
All right, let's see. It's exciting. The Ace of Swords inverted. Missed it by that much. I feel like I don't need to read anymore. That's perfect. That's perfect line. Missed opportunities.
Well, that's what it is. That is like the story of their life. I'm just saying.
God, I know. I love that. That's too perfect. That's too perfect.
I know.
All right. And then we have the Lovers inverted, which can't be good.
That's one of my birth cards.
It's difficult to find happiness when you don't love yourself.
Maybe this one's for the fans.
Before you can truly love someone else in a healthy way, you have to love yourself first. You have to be the one that you're looking for. If you're broken and pull other broken people to you, you try to complete yourself with parts of them or vice versa, it doesn't work. Cool. The inverted Lovers is honestly a bit creepy, impulsive, destructive, damaging to oneself and to others. What happens when you love someone so much and they don't love you anymore? This is like the saga of UK. It's like, oh my God, missed opportunity. This is the Calipari debacle. Oh my God. This is hilarious. Okay.
So funny. Oh my God.
It is telling the story of UK basketball right here on Brunch and Judge. Lord God, help us all. All right. Knight of Swords. Antsy and on the go, always in his head, always moving and challenging himself and others. Okay. Oh, this is the come at me, bro.
Because this is like the fake come at me, bro.
I love it. There is much intellect here, but not so much forethought. He will ride his horse until he smacks right into a wall.
I swear, this is...
A good shot in the face will help anyone regain a bit of humility and remember that they're not always the smartest person in the room. Oh my God. I couldn't have picked these cards better. That's fucking hilarious. Thank you, universe, for answering all of my UK basketball questions. That was amazing. You heard it here first. Next year sucks too. LOLOL.
Yes.
That
Next year's going to be amazing.
Okay.
It was. Like, I can't even with that.
I mean, sometimes the cards are really listening. What can I say? All right.
I mean, facts.
Are we ready?
Yes.
Our next topic will be... family curses.
Ooh.
We've not done that in a little bit, so that'll be fun.
We have not.
I remember last time that there were lots of options, so it'll be fun. It'll be good times. Cool. So be sure to join us next week as we talk family curses, which so far we've talked about the Habsburg's jaw, the wrestlers whose entire family died, basically, and then you did the...
Grimaldi?
Yeah. Yeah, we've hit some highlights. It's some very cursed families out there. So join us next week for that fun episode. And until then, you can find us in all the things and at all the places at
Brunch and Judge.
Please follow, like, comment, subscribe. And you can send us more topics for our wheel or any stories you'd like for us to cover to us at
brunchandjudge@gmail.com.
So until next time, keep on brunching.
And keep on judging.
And let's watch UK fail.
Bye.